Hi, I'm Chris Schleter, Master Gardener, food blogger, and writer. Gardening, cooking, healthy and tasty food is my passion. Welcome to my country kitchen, where we'll cook fast, fresh, with the best ingredients you can find. Come join me now. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a taco salad casserole. This is one of my all-time favorite quick meals. The big thing you need to do is to make sure you have all the ingredients on hand. What I did in my casserole dish is I crushed up some tortilla chips, or you can use corn chips. Anything that has a corn flavor to that will work. Just crush them up and line the bottom of your casserole pan that has been sprayed or greased. So I have those ready to go. And I'm in the process of browning a pound of hamburger with some onion and garlic right now. And to this browning hamburger, I'm going to add an envelope or 4 or 5 tablespoons of taco mix. You can buy it in like an envelope form, or you can make your own taco mix, which I'm going to have for you on my website. So you don't even have to go out and buy that. You can make it yourself and keep it in a jar, and it'll be much fresher. So I added the taco flavoring right to this. It's just like making regular tacos. They need to add some water, and about a half a cup. You want to get that all nice and mixed together with the hamburger. And then it's basically just whatever you put on a taco, you put in your hot dish. So I have some refried greens here. I have some peppers. You also could add like little corn niblets if you like those. And then we're going to bake this with the cheese on top, and then after that we're going to add our taco toppings. So you can see this is starting to get really bubbly now. And that's exactly what I want. I want it to kind of get a little bit thicker so your taco meat is mixed with the water, and also the spices getting it a nice kind of a sauce. And as soon as it gets sauce here, that looks about right, so I'm going to turn it down and just let it simmer here for a little while. And I'm going to put these refried beans right on top of my corn tortillas that are crushed. And you can just spoon it on. If you want to, you can try to flatten on there, but I just usually just spoon it, because it's going to get all mixed up together anyway. So it's one can, and I usually stir the can after it's open, and then before I put it onto the casserole dish. I have a little piece there. We can just add that right in there. And then on top of that, I'm going to add some peppers, and these are just green and orange, yellow peppers. And these I just pre-cooked a little bit. I sauteed in the pan briefly before I added my pound of hamburger, so that they give a little bit more or less time in the oven. So after you have those on, then all you need to do is add your taco burger right on top of that. And if you don't like hamburger, you could go ahead and use a chicken or turkey burger. And I'm just going to spread that right across the whole dish here. And then I'm going to add cheese. I'm going to add a nice layer of cheese right on top of this. And this you can cook about 365, 375, just until your cheese is melted or until it's heated through. So all I need to do now is to slip this in the oven. Our taco casserole has just been taken out of the oven, so you can see the cheese is nicely melted on there. And now we just need to make it look like almost like a taco salad. So what I'm going to do is take the rest of the taco ingredients, which would be fresh cut lettuce, and use a nice crispy lettuce for this, because tacos need to have a crispy crunch. Put as much as you want on there. I just do a nice layer like so. And then on top of that, I'm going to add some few fresh tomatoes, and these are cherry tomatoes, and these are actually hydroponic tomatoes. That means they grow these in water, which is a safe way to grow a lot of vegetables now. So there is some hydroponic tomatoes, and I'm going to add some olives. If you don't like olives, you can certainly take these off. Kind of put them on there nice and thing. And then I'm going to add a dollop of cream cheese right down the middle. And there we have that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of some taco sauce on top. And I just kind of drizzle this all over so it's all ready. Now you could add more cheese on top of this if you wanted to, but I'm going to leave it just as is except for one little addition of green. And the green I'm going to add is going to be some onions again. You need to have a pop of green on things that are just plain. So that's why I like to use parsley. Cilantro would be also good on here. Anything that's nice bright green really gives us a lot of nice color. And when you have a dish, the casserole, sometimes they're bland with the hamburgers and the noodles and the rices. It really pays to add some color into those. So you can just serve this up as is. All you need to do is just take a spoonful and put this on a plate. Or if you wanted to, you could even put it inside of a taco, a hard shell taco as well. But we do have our crispy chips on the bottom. And as I said before, feel free to add more cheese on there and keep layering it so you're happy with the way your taco salad it turned out. And then you can serve it. And it's ready to eat whenever you are. Now we're going to make a sweet and sour casserole. This is a really simple casserole to make, and this one you can just layer the ingredients in. You don't have to pre-mix them in a bowl if you don't want to, but you certainly can. And right now I've got some water that is starting to boil in the kettle, and I also need 1/3 cup of cornstarch for a thickener, so I saved some water back. And I'm going to mix this up so I have a little bit of that to make it nice and thick. And to this hot water, I'm going to add a cup of sugar. And I use an organic sugar for this. So I'm going to let that kind of get to a boil. And to this, I'm also going to add 1/3 cup of vinegar. And I'm using a rice vinegar because it is an Asian dish. And rice vinegar is a nice lighter type of vinegar. It's also great in salad dressings as well. And a little bit of chili powder and a little bit of oregano. That's a little bit of the spices that goes into this. And this you will also need to pre-cook your hamburger. So the hamburger is cooked with just salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder with that. And it's 1 pound of hamburger pre-cooked. When you have it pre-cooked like that, this really cuts down on the time when you make any kind of a casserole. And while that is coming to a boil, I'm just going to stir the sugar water a little bit with that. I also need to add some ketchup, so I'm going to add that to this mixture as well. So now that this is coming to boil, I'm going to add in the cornstarch and the vinegar ketchup mixture. And we want this to get nice and thick again. So we got to bring that back up to a boil once you get it in there. And constantly stirring with a whisk will really help us that your sauces do not get real lumpy. And while that's getting thick, I'm going to add the ingredients to our casserole dish. The first thing you're going to need is some pre-cooked rice. So I put that right in the bottom of the dish, and make sure your dish either has the non-stick shortening in it, or you can use butter to grease your dish. You just want a nice layer of rice on the bottom, not too thick, but enough there so you have a little bit of substance and some grain. You can use white rice. I'm using a brown rice because a brown rice is a good healthy type of a rice. And then to this top, I'm going to use my pre-browned hamburger. And this pre-browned hamburger, I also added the salt and the pepper and the garlic powder, but I put a little bit of a Chinese seasoning in there. You can add that if you want to, but otherwise you can just leave it and you don't have to add it. Totally up to you as to what kind of seasonings you want to put. And again, I want to make it nice and even. And I'm going to check this to make sure it's doing good, and it is. Now to this hamburger layer, I'm going to add some vegetables. And I just pre-cooked them so they're not real soft, but fairly soft. I'm going to use broccoli and a variety of peppers. I have yellow and green peppers, and then I'm using some fresh mushrooms that I all just sauteed in a pan real quickly. So I'm just going to put these in layers on the hamburger. And when you serve this, you can serve it with some extra soy sauce if you want. put the sweet and sour sauce right over the top of this. I'm just gonna kind of let it soak in. Just gonna let it go soak in. And you may or may not use all of this sauce. And I will also keep whatever I don't use, just in case when I take this out of the oven, I think it needs to have a little bit more sauce in there. And this is also at 350 for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. Just as long as everything is nice and hot inside, you can kind of tell if it's bubbly. Then you know it's time to take it out of the oven. Our sweet and sour casserole is ready to be eaten. So I'm going to dish this up, and you can see here's everything all together, the rice, the hamburger, the really nice vegetables. You can see how this would be a great casserole. It's nice and piping hot. And to this, I'm going to add some green onions. Green onions are perfect for any type of Asian food. And to top it off with a little bit of crispiness, we'll add some chow mein noodles on there. Some people like to put these on top when they cook them, but I like them right out of the bag because then they stay nice and crispy. So this is the Asian style sweet and sour casserole. So give these recipes a try, and don't forget, when it's cold outside and you need something warm and comfortable and cozy to eat, think of making casseroles.